Hello. This is July 8th, and I'm calling the Northfield Select Board to order at 6:01. We're going to start with scheduled appointments, and we have two, not one, but two Eversource poll hearings. So do you want to come up? Yep. Introduce yourself and...
Andrew Walida from Springfield and Eversource.
Thank you for coming up.
No problem.
I'm just going to read out that we are opening the hearing under the provisions of Chapter 166 of General Laws and any additions thereto or amendments thereof. The Select Board is now holding a public hearing on July 8th, 2025 at 6:01 p.m. on the petition of Eversource to place 11 new mid-span poles on South Mountain Road from Old Wendell intersection to the Gulf Road intersection to shorten long spans and allow the installation of primary wire, which has covering to reduce outages due to incidental tree contact. 3 stub poles are requested for support. Okay, so now we can proceed. Do you want to talk about this particular work?
It's really just a reliability project. As I mentioned, reducing some of the tree coverage. I believe reconductoring with covered wire, again, to just prevent any outages and just strengthen the whole system.
Okay, and we have our highway superintendent here too, so he's aware of the work. And you have just to confirm, Tom, you have no issues with it?
Yeah, no issues with it.
Okay.
They had stakes all out that I went up and looked at.
Okay, so you've seen them?
Yep.
Okay. Great. Any other comments or, I mean, you always review these before?
Yeah, no, I reviewed it. They had some wood up there, but they picked all the wood up since.
Good.
And
That was a concern.
yeah, that was a concern because it was all cut and just left laying there, so that got taken care of.
Okay. Any questions from?
So this is going to begin when?
That I couldn't really go into details on. I believe sometime in the next couple months, but I don't have that information on
Okay,
it.
and how long will it take once they
A
start?
couple weeks, I
Couple
believe.
weeks? Okay,
Yeah, it's really weather dependent.
okay.
So is that up near you?
No, it's, well,
It's up near me.
yeah.
It's up near you?
Yeah,
Oh,
it's up on the
okay.
other
Yeah,
south.
the poles
Mountain
are quite a ways.
Okay.
Yeah.
Yeah,
So there's always somebody.
yeah.
Near
Every
one
time
of
you
the
get a
poles.
branch on them, your power flickers.
Yep. Yeah, so hopefully that should reduce those issues.
Okay. Any other questions or comments?
Nope.
No?
Well,
Yes?
Wait a minute.
Oh.
Bob Pascaris, I live at 16.
Oh, hi,
South
Bob.
Mountain Road.
Hi, Bob. Nice to
Good
see
evening.
you.
I didn't realize this was going to be a select board meeting. I should have known. Maybe
Don't
just-
worry, you're on camera. Can you come forward a little bit so the
Sure.
microphone can pick you up?
Yeah.
Yeah, and then.
Bring a chair up.
Sure.
Yeah,
Sure.
why don't you do that? So if there's any,
Make one.
yeah. So if
It's
there's,
right in the middle.
there you go.
So,
Welcome, Bob.
I think I'll leave my hat on. But I guess there's no one else from South Mountain Road this stretch. I live right smack dab in the middle of it at 6:30. And my only question, I don't know if this is appropriate
Yep.
venue, but there are a couple of us, 2 I guess in the stretch, that have poles on our property.
Yep.
And the wires run through 50 or 60 feet of woods and then come onto our, I'm speaking out myself here, so come onto our property. And I noticed where one of the poles, I have the numbers here, but you don't have to get that far into the weeds, I guess, but there's you're moving the pole that feeds my pole on my property about 20 feet.
Yep.
So I'm wondering, what's that going to do to the opening through the woods? Because I have a little path now that I keep an eye on with branches and
If we're
stuff.
changing out the service, we should take care of that tree trimming if
Yeah,
that's required.
So, I'm hoping it's not going to be some sort of swath through, because I got this woods between my property, my driveway, parking area, my house, and the street.
Yep.
And the pole that feeds us is on the opposite side, the south side. So it comes, the wire, the transformer is mounted on the pole, the wire comes across the road, through the woods, through a nice narrow little path that I
Yeah.
keep an eye on. And I don't want to, you know, are you going to cut the trees to make the new access point? Because it's not going to line up, where the new pole is not going to line up with our pole. It's gonna
Yes,
have
that
to
should
go
be
through.
something we'll be taking care of.
So,
What's the address? I can double check.
6:30. It's pole 86B/64.
Are they actually moving that one though? I thought they were just,
Well, there's a,
the stake though, I think is, I was under the impression when I spoke with Kevin, the stake was getting put to take the sags out.
Yeah, so the stakes should be where we're setting brand new poles.
But I
Yeah,
think
a
the
lot of those
old
are-
pole
a lot of
that
them are
your
staying.
service is staying. I think, but I'm not 100% sure. The stake is, because between the next pole down and then your pole saying, it's to take that sag out. That was, so I think it's just a pole for the sagging wires.
okay,
Not
so,
100% sure.
I don't believe we're relocating any poles more than a couple, like, if we are replacing any poles, it would be right next to it. Otherwise, we are setting brand new poles, as you mentioned, to take the sag out, reduce the span length. in between
okay,
each.
so what that sounds to me like is I have my original pole, then about 20 feet east of that, there's going to be another pole. And this pole is going to stay, and this pole is going to support if you have a map. It's just that, you know, if these poles are all, a lot of them are going to stay, I mean, it's going to start looking like downtown someplace up there, you know, with poles and wires and everything all over the place, which I understand. I'm happy because some of those poles there look like toothpicks farther down the road. They need replacing. But, you know, my main concern was the access through. And if the access isn't going to change, if the transformer is going to stay on the existing pole, then there's going to be another pole right next to it. I mean, there's nothing I can do about that. I mean, I understand the upgrade, which is good. We had a fire up there last November that almost burned our house down because a tree came down on the wire, so.
Yeah, so it looks like we are planning to replace that pole, but it should be placed in the, more or less the same spot.
Okay, now, you've got to know, sorry to drag this out here, but
That's
it might be
okay.
my only opportunity here.
Yep, no problem.
I just want to make sure, because my neighbor at 638 also has a long line that runs up into their property, and sometimes there's confusion between,
So I've got the full number you gave, 86
Yeah.
over B64.
yeah,
It's a little difficult to see. There's a
Okay.
green triangle and a red
Okay.
triangle, meaning we're removing one pole and just setting a new one in its place.
okay, so is this the south side of the road here? Is this north or?
That I couldn't speak to. I believe this way should be north. Down should be south.
North, okay. All right, so that's right, this is on the south side. So tell me again, you're doing what, you're replacing? You're
It should be, yeah, it
eliminating-
looks like that pole's gonna be the 86 over B64. Looks like it's gonna be replaced.
Okay, so it'll need a new access to meet my pole on
It
my
should be
property.
set right next to it, within a foot or so.
Okay, because the stake is like 20 feet away from it.
I'll have someone look into that, yeah.
Okay. That's my only concern, because, you know, I don't mind a new swath through the woods there, swath through the woods, but I don't want, you know, 20 feet wide and everything gone there. So I don't know what the standard is for doing that on private property. That's my concern.
Yep, excellent.
Okay, so what's that mean?
I'm
You're
gonna have to look into it
Okay.
to see exactly what the plans are from that. Based on what I'm seeing on the sketches, it looks like it is gonna be set right next to it.
Okay, so it's literally a few feet away, 3 feet or something like that.
Yes.
Okay, that's cool. That's good, and that satisfies me, and,
Do you want to leave your contact information, Bob?
sure.
Just so, it sounds like everything's a go here, but just so that you
Oh, 6:30, okay,
double check.
So once we approve or disapprove, but I guess we'll be looking to approve it, what guarantee does Bob have that this agreement that's been made verbally will happen, that it will only be a couple of feet?
I'll have to reach out to the department and kind of go from there.
Okay, so do we predicate our approval on that? Chair?
We could?
The approval was based on your
diagram.
estimate that we were given. Yeah.
Yep, so I'm just asking whether we put, in conscom often we put conditions and stuff like that, so whether we put a condition, because sometimes things get lost, not intentionally, things just kind of get lost in the wash.
Yep.
And we have a resident here who has.
Why don't we do this?
Let me finish my sentence.
Yeah.
We have a resident here who has had, you guys have had a discussion and an agreement, and maybe somebody else comes, and that other person doesn't know and follow through. Do you understand what I mean?
Yeah.
So no shade intended.
Yeah. No, it's a fair point. I'm a little reluctant to not approve it because of the fire concerns. I mean, as you well know, we want to make sure that the poles and the wires are set. What we could do is make sure that you circle back with us, so if there are any problems, we'll bring it back to the next meeting. If they're not, then...
Fire concerns?
Well,
No, I just mean where he's living, last year there was a brush fire because of something falling on a wire.
Yeah, yeah,
Right,
and this whole
so-
project is supposed to reduce that.
Exactly, so that's what I'm saying, especially at this time of year where it's really dry, we don't really, I just want to make sure we move forward on the work if everything turns out to be kosher. So to
Yeah,
speak.
so I mean, I'm happy if the pole's gonna be mounted within 3 feet, you'll be able to use the same opening to meet my pole. And while I'm here, right, my neighbor at 638, they're out of town, but during this brush fire last year, they have a pole up probably 300 or 400 feet up. It goes very steep there, the wire, just swaths it through the woods, and there's a pole mounted up there, and that pole was damaged in the fire. I would say it was 20 to 30% burned, let's say 20%. I haven't looked at it in a while, but at the bottom, a few feet off from the fire. And, I pointed it out to our chief, fire chief, and he said, well, we'll let Eversource know and see if they look at that might need to be replaced.
I know the technicians that wrote this job, they did end up walking the entire trail and noted basically every pole, so I would
Even the
assume-
ones up in the woods that are on people's private property.
That I can speak to.
Yeah, that's the one I'm referring to. It was the fire moved up the hill and it damaged that pole, and, it's been there now 6-7 months or whatever, but I don't know if anybody's actually looked at it. And I just told them I'd bring that up because they were out of
Yeah,
town.
I'd recommend in that case just reaching out to Eversource and.
Okay, I
Yeah.
didn't think that was your bailiwick here. Okay, I guess I'm good.
so since you've got some time before you start this project, you could get it back with those concerns and just let us know what the results would be.
Yeah.
Also on this, you said you're taking some down.
I believe, yeah, like I mentioned that one, the pole, the 86 over.
Now, sometimes when you take and put them on another pole, the old pole stays there for a while.
So that's
Is
a
it-
lot of times communications.
Okay.
Verizon, Comcast, they need to transfer their wires
Okay.
over. Once the new pole's set and we're transferred over, it's a lot of times on them to get their end of the work done.
So it'd be their responsibility to take the old pole away?
Not necessarily, but we can't remove it until if it is our set, it's
Okay.
either Eversource or Verizon
Okay.
set area. If Comcast or Verizon hasn't transferred over their lines, we couldn't remove it.
And you coordinate with them sometimes, or do you? Yes?
Yeah.
Okay.
Do you want to, Andrea, this has come up before, the whole double pole. Do you want to speak to doesn't Verizon have a database that somehow gets shared with?
Yes.
Or communicated back and forth between the two entities
Yes,
when work's performed on?
the orders go through, there's a database, and you can see who's left on the pole and who needs to be nudged on the pole, and they all three share that database. We had this issue with double poles up off Highland, and we brought in Eversource, Verizon. No, Eversource, was it, or Michael Kane, so that's from Eversource, and they went up there, but we're Verizon set, so it ultimately comes down to Verizon to do the final removal, but they all have to move first. So we can nudge it if it does look like it's gonna be there a while. You can let us know, because we do have a few people on both Verizon and Eversource that we can contact to get them to move the last piece, because it does go through a process.
Yeah. So, Bob, if you do notice a double pole, then you can call town hall and just say it's been a while and the second pole nothing's happened, so.
Sure.
And it'll take
Then-
months, because they all have to go through
Yeah.
that.
They go through their process, and then we end up, in the case of Highland, and I think Glenwood too, right? Then Andrea ends up pinging either Eversource or Verizon or both to move forward, who's ever who's
Not
ever
removed.
tagged for the pole, so to speak.
I know that, this is not part of this project, but down the road, they were replacing poles and doing a lot of work down by where 4 Mile Brook comes in. There's a stretch there, and there's poles tied together, and there's, so that's an issue. I know that's a thing that happens, and it takes a while, but, so I'm familiar with what you're talking about, but, we'll see how it goes. I'm glad we're upgrading because it needs it. So, and this isn't going to be done like in the next 2 weeks or anything.
I don't believe so.
Okay, good, because I want to be there for this, so I'm not going to be around for a while.
So
Okay.
are we okay?
Yeah, yes, I would do it when the neighbors are out, when the people are gone.
Yeah. Great, they're on vacation, let's
Yeah, let's
go.
go, change everything.
So can you circle back with Bob and with Tom? And then Tom can let us know if there's any issues, and we'll bring it up at the next, it seems like we have time. Okay, good. Okay, so Tom, are you comfortable with that?
Yeah.
Because you've looked at them, right? Okay. All
I
right.
rely on you to take care of us up there.
So he's gonna come back to
Thank
the
you.
select
If
board
needed.
before,
If needed,
before it's installed though?
if needed.
That's what we've asked for.
Okay, so we're not,
Yeah.
we're not approving this based on contingent, he's coming back for approval?
No, I'm saying we should move ahead so
Okay.
that they get the work order in. He's going to follow up and circle back, and if there's any problems, we'll have him come back and we'll readdress it. But if there's no problems, then it can move forward. I'd hate to hold it up.
Yeah.
We address it if they don't follow the conditions. of
Right.
What they've
What we're
submitted.
stating here is that
Yeah.
you need to follow up with
Yeah.
Pastris, you have his
Yeah.
contact, I'm just restating. And just loop back with Tom, so Tom's aware of.
I mean, if you suddenly, they decided to move the pole 10 feet instead of 3, that would be an issue,
Yeah.
that you'd have to come back
Yeah.
to us before you did.
So the understanding is that it'll be within approximately 3 feet of the current pole.
Well, it's whatever he's listed.
I think what you're
Yeah, let
approving
me
is the
follow.
actual design
Well,
that's
that's
in
what,
front of
I
you.
mean, that's what we're talking about is.
Yeah, we're
that's why
approving
I'm
the
talking-
design, as long as
Right,
they
but he
don't
says
sway
it's
from
showing
it.
that.
Yeah,
But the stake isn't showing that, and often the people in the field.
No,
are
so
gonna
it does say, there is a note here, sorry, I missed it the first time. Pole location shifted approximately 10 feet.
And he already left. Did he leave? Yeah.
So there is going to have to be some modification to be able to get to his house.
Yeah.
And you guys do that all the time,
Yeah, and
right?
I can check in and reach back out to Tom and.
Yeah, just again, I think what we're asking to get back to us.
Yep.
So that if anything is really non-conforming, more so, that we know about it and we'll address that
Yep.
as we hear it, okay?
And you just got his contact information, right?
Yes, I did.
Okay,
And I'll grab Tom's in a moment.
Thanks.
Yeah, okay, good.
So,
All right. So is that clear as mud? Okay. Ask if we got the public input. Okay. So we'll take a vote to accept or decline. Can I get a motion to that effect, to accept or decline?
I make a motion to accept or decline the,
One or the other.
either or. I make a motion that we accept the Northfield Select Board's poll hearing and the provisions of Chapter 166.
second.
Okay, discussion?
Yes. So you said that there was a note to move the pole. You said there was a note to move the pole. Is that on the
It
application?
is on the sketch right here I have. It says, looks like it's page 14 of 19, station 85, pole 86 over, it says, note, pole location shifted approximately 10 feet.
Is that on the second hearing or the first hearing?
Well, that might be the second.
Okay. I just wanted to make sure, because that isn't on our paperwork, but that's not on the paperwork I have on the computer, but it's on the submitted paperwork?
I believe so, yes.
Okay. Andrea, what you have?
They have it. She has it.
Yeah, take a look.
page,
I believe it was 14 out of 19.
it's an image page, right? This doesn't have an image page. It's one of those.
I'm looking at the images.
Can you just hold up what you're looking at?
What number is it?
Station 85.
It's one of the,
Oh, it's one of those. Okay.
That's what it,
I can't find it. I'm gonna walk over to you.
If you want.
Okay. Can you make sure, because that's not in the packet that I saw, can we just, before you leave, make sure that we have a copy of that? It might be in some packet, but it's not in my packet.
Okay.
Thank you so much.
all set?
Yes.
Okay. All those in favor?
Dan Campbell says yes.
Aye.
Aye.
Lee says yes.
Aye.
Sarah says yes. Okay, and then we are going to sign these, and Sandra, you've... Oh, all, okay. Got it. There you go.
Do you have an estimation on the date?
That I do not have.
If you guys normally circle back on that anyway, so we can post it on the website
Yeah.
for folks. Great, okay. And then Dan, you're gonna sign where it says clerk too.
Now we'll have Amanda do that. She'll bring it down, she'll stamp it.
No, there's town clerk
Oh, you
and
want-
clerk of the select board.
Oh, that's true.
All kinds of signatures.
Okay, hearing two.
Now I need a motion to close this hearing so we can move into the next one.
I make a go
So
ahead.
move.
Second.
Okay, Dan, all
Second.
those in favor, sorry.
Aye.
Aye.
Aye, okay. Thank you. Okay, hearing number 2. Under the provisions of Chapter 166 of General Laws and any additions thereto or amendments thereof, the Select Board is holding a public hearing tonight, July 8th, following the first hearing at 6 p.m. on the petition of Eversource to install 2 mid-span poles on Gulf Road near houses number 548 and 518. Proposed mid-span pole 26/42M to be installed between pole 26/B42 and 26B43 due to a very long span. Proposed mid-span pole 26/43M to be installed between pole 26/B43 and 26/B44 also due to a very long span. Okay. You now may address the board on the,
Again, pretty much the same deal. It's for reliability, shorten up those span lengths and keep things going smooth.
And Tom, you
No
looked at
problem,
these too,
yeah.
yeah. So it's just basically a very long span that needs to be bolstered in between?
Our
So
current
the
standard
lines
is
are-
150 feet.
Okay,
I know throughout the project, there are some that are like 300 to 400 feet.
okay. Any other questions or comments? Okay. Any public input? Seeing none. Can I get a motion to accept or decline the request?
I make a motion that we approve provisions of Chapter 166 of general laws for the adding mid-span support poles. to our-
Second.
As described.
As described.
Second.
All those in favor?
Aye.
Aye. Okay. And we now sign a new set of documents. Okay. Oh, okay.
I think it's okay.
Are we signing all of these on multiple pages, Sandra? I've got a lot of sticky tabs.
If there's a sticky,
Is there more?
yeah, you sign them all, because one goes to Eversource and one.
Oh, gotcha.
Oh, so we have
Okay.
more to sign?
Okay,
Do
yes.
we missed?
All right.
Coming back.
Look for all the blue stickies.
Yeah. Okay.
There's several blue stickies on there.
Don't miss any.
And get your clerk ones too, not,
I will do that.
Okay.
Thank you.
please. We're so glad you came in person.
No problem.
Especially this hot evening here.
I feel like I'm buying a house.
Yeah, it's like signing a deed. Well, thankfully, we don't have to thumbprint anymore.
Buying a car.
I don't know if you've signed that one already or.
I'm just gonna double check. Two more pages. I don't think we've done a poll hearing in quite a while.
A long time.
We have
years.
two. It was a twofer tonight, thank you. Okay. All right, we're good. Okay, we signed the documents, and now we're going to close this hearing and move into regular public session. And can I get a motion to that effect?
So moved.
Second.
Second, thank you. All those in favor?
Aye.
Aye. Okay.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you, thanks, Tom.
Make
for
sure you
coming.
get a hold of Bob and let him know.
I
Yeah.
will start, and I've got the other contact information.
Okay, let him know it's gonna be moved.
We'll circle back.
Are you going to copy that document for me before you leave?
Let me just, I just want to call my supervisor and make sure I can give this away.
Okay.
Just give me one more.
Okay, thanks. All right, Kilowatt Cross special permit request. Come forward.
Keep your hand open.
Hi. State your name and your reason for being here, and it better not be a poll hearing.
Yeah, right.
Oh,
Yeah,
My name is Colin Reuter. I'm from Northampton. I'm representing the B2C2 Cycling Club, and I'm here to get a special event permit for Kilowatt Cyclocross on Sunday, September 28th at Northfield Mountain Rec Center.
great. And were you guys setting up the night before
Yeah.
as well, so we needed to be aware of just including,
I mean, we're there Saturday, but like there's no, it's like 10 people,
okay.
so I don't think it really affects. There's not like an event happening Saturday.
Oh, okay, good.
Last year it was a 2-day event, so that might be what you're thinking of.
Oh, okay,
Yeah, this year we're going back to 1 day.
okay.
Is this the second year you're having it?
This will be the 3rd year.
Third year,
Third
okay.
year,
Yep.
excellent. And how have the prior 2 years gone for you? Is it-
Everything's been smooth. We weren't able to get the attendance we hoped for doing 2 days last year, so we're going back to 1 day. So
Okay.
we think it's better to run it as a single day event
Okay,
and focus on that.
okay, good.
Yeah.
Yeah, yeah. Well, you experiment and then see what works and what doesn't.
Yep.
And, okay. Any questions from the board on the permit? Looked like we had all the appropriate signatures.
You've had no complaints or anything?
Everything's been fine.
Great, that's all.
And I think the RecCom has been in touch with you too, Stacy. I know she's promoting it on their Facebook page.
Probably. I don't. Yeah, I'm not the person who put the permit in, so I'm not the
okay.
person she would have been talking to.
Okay.
But I reckon that's correct.
Yes. Okay. Anything else, you guys?
Nope,
Do
I have none.
So,
Do a motion to approve?
so I actually have one question for you.
Sure.
So we get interest from racers knowing racers want to park like their camper van in the Northfield Mountain parking lot the night before, some of them, and the rec center is fine with us doing that. The question is if we need any kind of approval or permitting from the town for what is effectively camping the night before.
No, that's under their.
Okay,
that's on their
so if it's fine with
property.
them, it's fine with you.
Yeah.
And you'll have the porta potties?
Yeah,
Yep.
porta potties are there,
So-
and they leave the building open that night too, so people can go indoors. So
Okay.
Yeah,
Yeah.
they do this for a lot of.
Yep.
Yeah,
okay.
as long as it's fine with them. Okay. Are
I'm-
you 501c3?
We are.
You are,
Yeah.
okay.
I noticed that the EMS says they need contact information for billing.
Okay. I can get that to them. I don't know, right? Give me a contact and I can get them billing info. We've worked with them the last 2 years, so
It just, it notes it on the application, need contact information. Or is that you needing contact information?
that's a great. I don't
No,
know.
it's the EMS.
You will get a copy of all those comments.
Okay,
So
Yeah.
They'll be in communication.
okay.
Yeah.
Great, so when he gets a copy of this, it'll be on here, and you can, Sandra can give you the address, the email
Okay.
address too for the EMS director. Yeah. Okay, anything else?
Not for me.
Good.
Good.
Anything from the board? No?
None.
Okay.
No.
Can I get a motion to approve the special permit?
I make a
for-
motion to approve the special permit for Kilowatt Crossing. Was it Kotu Bike Shop?
Conti's?
Conti Bike Shop.
And just put the dates on there.
The 9/28/2025.
Second,
9/27/25 at 8 a.m. to 9/28/25 at 5 p.m. is what we have on here.
Oh.
Yeah, I guess that's
'Cause you're gonna do
because
Saturday.
we're there Saturday
Yeah.
doing event preparations
That's fine.
stuff.
Oh, set up. Yep.
Yeah.
Okay.
Do we need to, we're in discussion, right? Do we need to amend to require, so for instance, they have to have the food permit 30 days in advance. They can't do it without the food permit, so do we need to amend the approval based on procurement of food permit and contacting EMS? Like the things that have been requested?
That's up to the Board of Health. If they
It's
don't
all-
But
get
we're
the,
approving this based
Yeah.
on.
based on that, but if they don't go get the food permit,
They
and
can't
the
do
truck
food.
shows up, the Board of Health can shut them down.
Okay. They can still do the event, but they can't do the food. Okay. So, just so you know, when you get this, it's a long copy of each of the departments that your organizer is working with.
Okay.
And so they'll just need to be aware of any notes on here to
Yeah.
contact. Otherwise, you won't get EMS service.
Right.
You won't get your food permit, et cetera. You'll just be
And the
riding
Board of Health,
bikes.
you want to contact them sooner rather than,
Yeah,
as
yeah,
soon as you
we've-
know who it's
Yeah.
going to be.
Yeah, we're used to the cycle of like trying to
Okay.
find a food truck, and then as soon as you get
Okay.
them, make sure they talk to
Yep.
Board of Health and get it all
Yep.
taken care of.
Yep.
So,
And this is your third time, so it's not your
Yeah.
first rodeo either. Okay, good. Okay, all those in favor, did we
Yes,
do a motion to
Yes,
waive
we
the,
did.
did the motion include
No.
waiving the fee?
no.
It did not.
I'll amend the motion to amend the fee.
Waive the fees, yeah.
Waive the
Waive
fee.
the
I'll second that.
Okay. All those in favor for the amended motion?
Aye.
Aye.
All those in favor for the original motion?
Aye.
Aye,
Aye.
thank you. Okay, so that's approved. I'm just gonna make a note to follow up with EMS and food.
Board of Health.
Yep. Okay, I'm going to sign that.
I believe he's all set, correct?
Yeah, he
All
is,
set?
but he's gonna, I wanna make sure he connects with Sandra, so, sorry for the pause.
no problem.
But I'm writing down the notes that the board mentioned. Okay. Okay, and thanks for coming up. We're just gonna. Okay, so you're just gonna check this out, right? And those we keep that short. Make sure you're all set. Okay, next. Since we have you guys, why don't we move on to we'll come back to the warrants. Why don't we move on to the temporary liquor license? Just so you don't have to sit through everything else. Sure. Thank you. All right, so at the last meeting, we talked with Susan and Martha regarding the Trinitarian event coming up in July. And it turns out you're going to have a pouring. Four Star is going to be part of the event. So now we need a pouring license.
Yes,
Correct.
please.
Okay. Anything else you want to say, Pat, about the event? Or?
It's going to be a wonderful event. I hope you will all come on the 19th of July, which is a Saturday from 1 to 4. We're going to have, we hope, a pouring license. We're going to have a fabulous chicken barbecue. We're going to have a bounce house and face painting and other things for kids. We're going to have music, but not really super loud, so don't worry, neighbors. We're going to have
Not unless Ted gets crazy, right?
lots, yeah,
Okay.
and others. We have
Yeah,
three
oh, good,
different
okay.
three different musician groups coming, and we're going to have a wonderful crafts fair with probably about a dozen local craftspeople, and we're going to have a silent auction for goods and services, which you will definitely want some of these goods and services. There are things like a 3-day stay in the Adirondacks. There are things like somebody coming to your home to wash and cut your hair if you can't get out of your home. And multiple gift certificates to local wonderful restaurants and things. So that's just an example of the things that will be available at this delightful occasion.
How long
So
have you
I
guys?
hope you'll all come.
Yes. How long have you guys been doing this now? Because
This is the first time we've done this. This is for our 200th anniversary that we're doing.
I know you've
this.
had other events.
We
but
had a chicken barbecue
Yeah,
for the
okay.
350th, but
Right.
that was just a barbecue. And that was that was a community event.
Yeah.
You know, the junior firefighters set it up and took it down for us. I mean, it was fabulous. But this is just for, to celebrate the 200th, but it is a community event.
Congratulations.
And I hope that people will come to the owl presentation at the library with their families and then come up the street for some delicious chicken and fun with their family.
Wow.
That's all on the same day.
Sounds like there's a lot going on. You've outdid yourselves, so congratulations. Okay, so we need approval for a pouring license for the brewery at 4 Star Farm for July 19th, 2025, from noon to 4 p.m.
So moved.
Second.
All those in favor?
Aye.
Okay.
Thank you all very much.
You're getting all of our John Hancocks, so to speak.
great.
So.
Excellent.
Thank you, Liz.
Absolutely, thank you.
And Sandra, they need to check in with you as well on the license?
I have to process this also.
Okay.
Back up to Sandra or?
Sandra, do you need this now, or you're going to do this later and Sandra will be in touch?
Okay,
Okay,
sounds great.
thank you.
Thank you. Thanks.
Sure.
Goodness. Okay.
Thank you, guys.
You're welcome.
Thanks, we'll see you there.
I'm sure.
I hope so.
Yeah, no, that sounds like a fun event. Okay,
Got one more person waiting.
yes, I know, I'm looking at that. So, Bob, why don't you come up and I'm going through I'm going to move the Millbrook Trail Open Space Committee letter up.
Okay.
So we can get that out of the way rather than having you sit through more of us signing things. Yeah. So we got the letter, and Sarah, you were in on this discussion as well with the open space. I noticed your name was on the letter, so for the open space.
I was on the original discussion of it.
Yeah, that's what I mean. So,
Should I introduce myself?
yes, please, Bob,
Sure.
thank you.
I'm
Thanks for
Bob
reminding me.
Perlman from Commonwealth Avenue, and I'm here for the discussion on the Millbrook Trail.
And you're the chair of the
I'm the chair of the
open
Open
space.
Space Committee.
Thank you. Okay. Do you want to just give us an overview? What is the Open Space Committee hoping that we will actually do? And then we'll open it up for discussion.
Well, it's a question of access for a trail, and it's a trail that the town has. And we need to make sure that it's accessible. And when you have the tubing and the electrical stuff, and it's, even if a normal height person, they're gonna bump into these.
It's actively
Are
crossing.
they
the trail.
literally going
They are,
across the
yes.
trails?
Yes,
Oh,
in
okay.
fact, I was hoping that somebody would walk the trail with me from the select board, so that you get a real sense of what we're talking about. But a lot of complaints came to us, and we don't feel like we don't have the charge to make any decisions about this. So we figured if we sent the letter that the complaints we were getting to the select board, you guys can make a decision if in fact that it's, they should be moving the lines off of the trail, because it's now town property. And the other concern is, a lot of discussion, is that part of the trail owned by the town? And the research we did said yes. But there's people in the town that, some people are saying, well, it's not town property, it's still owned by the Snows. But we believe that section is owned by the town now.
But they were pre-existing and allowed by the Snows, but then when the town bought the property, they then weren't moved. There's also been brought forward another issue about electric supply. There's an electric supply running from the church that seems unwrapped or uncovered. It seems like a fire hazard and perhaps dangerous. So that's been mentioned by a couple of people at meetings as well.
Okay.
So,
To run the sap, I'm sorry, I'm so
Yeah.
sorry, to run the sap lines, the electricity's coming in.
Like a
Run
generator
the
type thing.
pump or
to-
something.
okay,
Yeah.
so, your request would be to have the town ask the, remove them or put them so that you can use the trails? They were off the trails, would that suffice, or is it a detriment to the whole area?
Well, I mean, it's certainly unsightly.
Okay,
And, I mean, our main concern is that the trail is accessible.
okay,
I don't think just raising them a little higher is gonna make a difference. Our suggestion would be that they be moved off the trail,
okay.
and that the trail would be fully accessible.
Yeah, that makes sense.
Is there any plan to put the bridge back so that you can do a full loop through those trails? And who would be responsible for that?
We're working on having a bridge put in. We have some plans. Nothing has been finalized yet, but at some point in the near future, there will be another bridge.
Is that something you're going to try to see CPA money?
Yes.
Is that recreation?
Yes.
Okay.
I think we've talked about that before, and don't they need to go before you had recommended they needed to go before the conscom?
And they have?
Yeah,
They've
okay.
come to conscom.
Okay.
But the plan isn't fully,
Baked.
yeah, it's
Okay.
not fully baked.
Yeah.
One of the issues, I'm sorry, go ahead.
Whose property are the lines on? Town property or private property?
Town property.
Then whose lines are they?
We're not sure. I know the snows, so back in the day, like when I first moved here, people like NMH did tap trees and things like that on people's property. And I just found out because he showed up on my property and started tapping things. I'm like, oh. So I'm just wondering, because it said in the letter that the stewards work with the snows. Are the snows, is
Yes.
there information forthcoming from the snows that would help us get to the bottom of who
Well,
owns
I
them?
mean, the Snows would know exactly whose lines they are because
Okay.
they had given them permission in the past. There is the stewards of Millbrook, and some of the Millbrook Trail is still on Snow's property. And they've been very helpful
Okay.
in fact, if we say there's a tree down, they're happy to remove it, and they're wonderful. But we have a whole committee, the stewards, that make sure the trails are clear if there's any problem. We have a kiosk with the pamphlets that we make sure. It's a lot of town people use that trail. It's very popular.
And in
Yeah.
the winter, because the town plows it and can't plow where the lines are, the snow entirely blocks the trail because it's put up against it. I think there's a kind of ancillary point, which is that it's profit-making on town land. Do we need to, if we're going to allow it to continue, do we need to sign permission as the town, or is it just like kind of free range? So I think that's something to find out, right? Because there's the whole adverse possession thing.
I'm not sure what that is, but let's deal with the accessibility first, and maybe that addresses the gnarlier of the issues of who's using what on what.
And the fire issue is a serious, the
Yeah.
electric and fire.
Yeah, so I'm just thinking through potential next steps so we get to the bottom of this without just
Find out whose lines
willfully
they are.
just chopping stuff down and somebody is expecting to pick up their equipment. So can you reach out to Ed Snow and see if we can figure out who it is? And then, Sarah, as the highway person, do you think it would make sense to work with Tom to just say, what can we take this down in a way that if the equipment is still good, we're not destroying it?
I would not want to take down other people's property until we had spoken to them. I think that would be a bad idea.
Okay, but if we know who it is and
We
then-
can, I'm sure that since it's town property, the highway department, I'm sure would offer assistance if it were needed.
Mhm.
But I don't think we should go rearranging people's stuff because they had previous permission and we have, so
Well,
for
they had
that,
permission from the Snows.
from the
apparently.
previous
Yeah.
I mean, I think the first part is, does the select board feel that these lines should come down
Yeah.
from the trail?
I think so. I can't speak for the whole board, but.
I do.
Yeah. blocking
So-
trails, and that's a fairly, I mean, it's not a long trail, but you want to make it a continuous, that's the whole point of those trails, is being able to do a reasonable loop, right? So I would be in favor of making sure those are free and clear. One, from a liability standpoint, we don't want people inadvertently falling or getting clothes hangered, or I'm not sure how far up they are, but like for me, you know, it could be halfway, or for a little kid or something. And I think one of the Tibbets had mentioned, like, people do cross-country skiing
Yes.
too, and that was really a problem, so.
What about the fire hazard of the electricity? Do we ask Tom about that, or do we ask the fire department? What do we, I mean, because that
So-
should probably be evaluated.
So it's an extension cord coming from the church? Is that
I
what it is?
believe so, but it's not like.
It's only been being used during when they're sugaring, is that what it is? or
I
no?
don't know that.
Okay.
But what I was told was it wasn't a safe kind of, it's not like an outdoor.
No, it's just a plug going
quality,
to
you know, it's just.
a pump of some kind.
Yeah, no, I mean, the cord itself didn't seem like a utility water type cord,
Okay.
and so there was that kind of concern. So the question is, it's now on town property, do we have the fire folks go look at it, you know?
Let's have the town
Being,
administrator.
well, I would say being town property, we're liable for it.
Yeah.
But what would happen, I mean, the first, which would be a reasonable request, is to ask to have the lines moved so that the trails were unobstructed.
Yes, by the whoever owns it right
Right.
now.
Yes,
Right.
so the next question would be, if the person refuses, where do we stand?
Oh, I don't think we, I think that
I
we
think
should
they would
assume-
probably do that. It's a reasonable request, but
Yeah, let's
I think they
take
need
that
to
one
come in
down
and
the
talk
road.
to us.
Yeah,
Yeah. Why don't we just take the first step that we can
Sure.
and get to the bottom of whose property is on the town property. There's been a switch from this, the snows to the town, and not everyone, it's not like we have signs up there that say this is town property. The other thing is, if it's crossing that field over to the Congregational Church, then can you reach out to them as well? If it's, because that's, at some point, that becomes their property too.
right. Well, I think that it's with their permission, the question is just for safety.
Yeah, but it might be one of those things, I agree on the safety issue wholeheartedly, but it might be one of those things that's been there so long, is nobody remembers that
Right,
it's there. And it might be plugged into something, and until, when they go to do the cookout, it's like, where does this plug out?
Right.
You know what I mean?
Yep.
So why don't we take those next steps, see if we can identify the person, and then ask for them to be removed.
And are
if-
we gonna, I'm sorry.
And then if we'll follow up at the next meeting. If for some reason we can't, I'm just running this by the group, figure out who it is, then we'll direct the highway, presumably highway, to remove the equipment.
And store it or something.
Right. Store it for a reason.
Are we gonna write a letter, or is the select, we're gonna write a letter, or is it gonna be a more informal communication by the town administrator?
I think we need to figure out what's going on before we do anything.
Okay.
and the person may not realize that the town does own that property,
Yeah,
so.
yeah. And it could have just been forgotten.
Well, thank you.
Yeah, thank you for bringing it to our attention. We want to make, we do, I think, in principle, I'm looking at the rest of the group. These trails are important. We appreciate what you're doing. And the fact that you have so many people and you're working well with the snows to extend, to really make it harmonious between the town property and the snow property. So we're thankful for that. And I think the goal here is, let's make the trails accessible, which seems to be at the heart of this to begin with. Regardless of the weather and what time of year it is, we've got a lot of people using that, happily using those trails that you guys are.
Very popular.
Yeah. Okay, let's do that, and then we'll just do a follow-up at the next meeting to see what's what.
Thank you.
And we'll be in touch in the meantime.
Great.
Yeah. Thank you, Bob. Okay, review and approval of the warrants. Let's march through these. We've got a few that are on the cusp of FY24 and FY25 and the start of FY26. Can I get a motion to approve the June 25th, 2025 payroll warrant of $116,524.54?
So moved.
Second.
All those in favor?
Aye.
Great. And can I get a motion to approve the vendor warrant from June 25th, 2025 of $109,359.30, which includes the transfer station?
So moved.
Second, Bernie?
Second.
Thank you. All those in favor?
Aye.
Aye. And a motion to approve the July 1st, 2025 fiscal year 2026 vendor warrant of $358,185.12, including county retirement, health insurance, and EMS retirement.
So moved.
Second.
I have a question.
Yes.
So is the EMS, why is the EMS retirement separate? Is it a yearly charge?
Those are both annual payments, but they're billed separately.
Okay, thanks.
All those in favor?
Aye.
Aye. And a motion to approve the June 30th, 2025 payroll warrant of $72,428.29.
So moved.
Second.
All those in favor?
Aye.
Aye. And a motion to approve the June 30th, 2025 vendor warrant of $97,881.70.
So moved.
Second.
All those in favor?
Aye.
Aye. And a motion to approve the July 9th, 2025 payroll warrant of $37,091.29.
So moved.
Second.
That's extra dollar.
Extra dollar
dollars.
sign.
Oh.
Dollar.
So I mean,
Dollar.
staff will be thrilled.
Okay. All those in
Means it's
favor?
Aye.
Aye. Thank you. And finally, can I get a motion to approve the July 9th, 2025 vendor warrant of $167,164.25, including technology, insurance, and the museum heat pump? That was from the
Library.
CPA grant, right?
Yep.
Yes.
Yeah. Can I get a
So
motion?
moved.
Second.
Second from Sarah. Thank you. All those in favor?
Aye.
Aye, great. And can I get a motion to approve the minutes from June 17th, 2025?
With the amendment of
No.
change.
No.
It turns out that, well, actually, I have to correct myself. Sandra corrected me. Jim Hawkins is I always know him as the building inspector, but he is also the building commissioner.
Okay, so I don't have to change that?
No.
Okay. All right.
I have a question that might
On
warrant.
this one?
Yes, that might warrant a change. So I wanted to clarify, when I read the minutes, I wasn't clear, and I know it was discussed in the meeting. The building rental from EMS, so the building purchase of $53,000 or whatever is coming from the EMS building fund, according to the minutes.
Is there an edit in here?
That's what I'm asking, yes.
Is it a written edit that you submitted yesterday?
No, it's a question to know
No, the
whether we
emergency
need an edit.
services facility has funds, and that they've approved the expenditure
The
from
building.
there.
I'm trying to clarify. I read the minutes and it wasn't clear, so I'm
Okay.
asking in case we need an edit to clarify.
Okay.
So there's $50,000 that's kind of putting a down payment or initial payment on the building that's going to be put on the property, 50-some thousand. And that's coming from the EMS building fund, correct?
The emergency services facility fund has money. The EMS
Enterprise is different.
is not coming from EMS, it's
Right.
coming from the building fund,
The building fund.
which is a separate committee.
The couple $1 million building fund, right?
Well, there isn't a couple million till we move it back after the purchase, but yes, that's where that money was stored for working on the facilities.
Got it. So then the second question is, I understood that. My
Yeah.
second question is, the rental that's going to be in addition to the property rental, there's a building rental of like $2,000 a month. Is that also coming from the EMS building fund, or is that coming?
The property rental will come, as it always has, monthly from EMS. It's built into their budget.
Right.
The building itself will come from the request from the emergency services facility money.
The
Two separate.
$50,000, but then there's the
That
$2,000 per month.
I think it includes it.
That was the all-encompassing
It's only
fund was
$20-some
$55,000. Out of that $55,000
It covers
is coming
6
the,
months.
3 months of
3 months of rental for the,
Yeah, it's all inclusive.
temporary structure.
And then we're keeping it past 3 months or not?
We don't know yet. Who knows? as far-
Right, and then
Now we're getting
looking-
into discussion,
Yeah.
so.
No, I'm trying to
No,
clarify
yeah.
what was in the minutes.
Right, I know,
Yeah.
there's
So there are two separate
clarification
funds.
and then
Okay.
there's discussion. Is there an edit that's coming out of this,
No.
or the information, as far as I saw, was correct? And I think it was just Dan, Bernie, and myself who were at the meeting.
Yep.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah.
All those in favor?
I
Aye.
Abstain.
Aye.
abstain.
Okay, 2 abstentions, okay. All right, now we're on to Cameron's Winery and the Backroom Brewery.
That's the same day as the chicken thing?
Yep.
As the barbecue thing?
Yep, looks like
Yeah,
it.
they're having a special on-the-water event.
Mm.
So it's limited, but the 2 of them are going to be pouring.
River cruise.
Yeah, whenever you say that, I'm thinking that you're talking about a horrible rainstorm. Like, oh, we
Oh.
planned it for a horrible rainstorm.
Well, it's covered if there is rain, so we do know that. Okay,
It's gonna be pouring.
It's on the same day, but it's not the same place.
Right, it's at the
Right.
Northfield
It's gonna be on the
Mountain
river.
Recreation.
right,
Program.
that's why we have it listed as 156 Pine Meadow Road. So can I get a motion, so all they're doing, and this is required by the state, so if they're going to pour
Off premises.
liquor off their site, then they need a temporary license. So can I get a motion for Cameron's Winery and then a second motion for the Backroom Brewery?
Make a motion to approve a temporary pouring license or liquor license?
Pouring, yeah, liquor.
Temporary liquor license for Cameron's Winery at Northfield Mountain Recreation Boat Ramp, 156 Pine Meadow Road for July 19th, 2025. River Cruise.
Second.
All those in favor?
Aye.
Aye, okay. Time for more signatures.
While we're doing that, I make a motion to
Excellent.
approve the temporary liquor license for Backroom Brewery, Northfield Mountain Recreation Boat Ramp, 156 Pine Meadow Road, July 19th, 2025, River Cruise.
Second.
All those in favor?
Aye.
Aye,
Aye.
great, thank you. Well done. It becomes like a tongue twister after a while.
An
Okay.
inappropriate sentence.
Yeah. All right. Oh, and an exciting topic, actually. The fiscal year 2024 audit. I don't know if everyone had a chance to read through that, but there's some
So
nice things that are missing from it.
a lot of
Yeah,
things that
so
are
do you want to
missing
give
from-
us an overview and then we'll
So
let...
you got 4 documents from the
Yep.
auditor. The first one, and I'll kind of just go through them pretty quick, some of them, this is the audit engagement letter. Look like this, it literally says audit engagement letter on the top. And that outlines the audit scope and their objectives. So it tells you what they're going to do and their objectives in doing it. The second document, which is addressed to them, signed by myself, and I don't think we had Aaron's signature, but it is signed by Aaron now, when we scanned it, is the representation letter. And this describes what is in and what is out of the audit. So what they represent the financial statements to be covering, what they've seen, what they reviewed as part of the audit. So that gives you a breakdown, and it's got a lot of individual sections. The next one is the communications with those charged with governance. It used to be called the findings, so it's kind of got a funny new name for us. And it really is the one document we as the people who do the financial piece here in town hall pay a lot of attention to. It gives any future items to pay attention to, anything they want to point out in the review of their financials. You can read through it. A lot of it is advice, or look for this, or this is coming, or we're covering these sections like Gatsby, and they'll talk about, do we have any disagreements with management? I think they have to put things like that in case somebody gave them a hard time while they're doing the audit. We had none of that, obviously. To us, the biggest section is what they're now calling other audit findings or issues. And there's just a few bullets here that you'll see. I can just address that really quickly. First of all, this used to be pages. We used to have 2 or 3
Yeah.
pages. Now we have 7 bullets. So it's exciting. And some of these aren't even issues. So, for example, they pointed out the following to all parties. They put this in all their audits now, apparently, to be aware of fraud and practice risk assessment. Obviously, we now have an IT vendor who does trainings and audit. And so that's just to them a point out. They're not saying that we have any fraud or risk issues any more than anyone else. Then they mentioned the GASB, that's the General Accounting Standards Board's, and there's all sorts of numbers for that, for their, and they pointed out 101 and 87, because those will be changing in the coming year. They may or may not even be relevant to us, but they wanted us to be aware of them. Neither of those have much bearing on Northfield compensated absences and leases. We don't lease any property, so, but we put it in there because they want to make sure we see it. Monitoring ARPA balances. This audit was for fiscal year ending June 2024, so think a year ago. And at that time, ARPA deadline was approaching for December. So it was noted in the audit, we're already done with ARPA. So in other words, they're just saying, hey, be on the lookout, your deadline's coming. We all know that, we're done with ARPA. So again, just to point out from last year.
So this is really a look back.
Oh, yeah.
Yes, you have to remember
Yeah.
that we're always behind because obviously they can't do the 2025 audit. We're just closing it. So we're always kind of running a year behind to get the audit done in the spring. The only real relevant to us things that were mentioned in the audit was adjust cash variance from prior fiscal years as the variance has remained the same. We were really excited about this recommendation because this is the auditors giving us the green light to clear a cash variance that had remained consistent through some prior fiscal years. We had some changeover, if you recall, a number of years back in auditors, in treasurers, and there were some knots tangled up. We got that all straightened out, but there was this last bit of variance that we couldn't attribute anywhere. So the auditor said, carry it forward for 2 or 3 years. If and when we get to the point where that variance doesn't change and you're balancing, we know that you're clean. And so they're saying, we've watched it, it hasn't changed, it's not a great amount of money, but we can wipe it from the book. So that really, Aaron and Michelle are able to balance cash to the penny each month and have been for the last couple of years. So
What is the variance amount?
I'd have to go and look for sure because it changed over time, but it's not a huge amount. We basically think it's attributable to things like grant funds that were reimbursed but didn't get put in the right account, or things that were charged to a wrong account that didn't get matched up with a revenue account. So it was more internal accounting that a few years back didn't get settled out, and we just can't go back anymore and figure it out. So they said, we'll watch it, and when that number doesn't change and you're balancing, we know that there's no ongoing problem.
So is it less than 10,000?
Probably not. It might be in the 20-30 range,
Okay.
but it's been carried over millions of dollars now for a number of years. But I can get the exact number.
No,
but
I was just curious.
It's pretty steady, and it's not a big number that, I mean, the auditor would be worried he'd tell us. So everyone's really excited actually about dropping that because now we will have clean numbers, which we know we've had. And then the last thing was a review reconciliation of payroll withholding balances on the general ledger. This is the accountant. This necessitated some new reports that needed to be generated by her working with our payroll company, Harper's. So those reports have been generated. So the accountant has gotten those reports now and has already been working on that reconciliation. There's no problem with it. They just want to see those numbers cleaned up, and she needed different kinds of reporting than she had. They've created those reports. So that's it for us. We consider this a very clean
Yay,
audit.
congratulations. So the Chapter 90 fund balance surplus?
Oh, that's all set. It cleared out.
Oh, okay.
It always does. In fact, it was in our favor.
Okay.
It was a surplus. There was just a couple things that had to be, when they caught it as a surplus, they're like, oh, okay, this should have been attributed to that. So it's not a negative. It was actually, we looked like we had received more in reimbursement than we actually spent, which wasn't true. But they noted it because at June 30th,
When
it was
they were
there.
looking at
But we
it,
usually
yeah.
have 2 or 3 months after June 30th to straighten all the books, because sometimes it takes a couple of months past that.
Right.
So anyway, that's this document. It's very
dry.
very light on any concerns. We're really excited. I have to say, Michelle and Aaron have worked really tirelessly for the last few years and addressed every issue that's been raised in previous audits. And we do annual audits, so they're very, very concerned with clearing up the books and making any audit changes. So we were really pleased with this audit. We're down to basically, make sure you're doing good with your risk. Make sure you look out for these next year. And here's a couple of things, some of which have already been resolved.
Given
So-
the past audits, I went back after looking through everything.
Yep.
I went back a second time because I thought I missed something.
Yeah.
There wasn't.
We're looking
There
for those
wasn't any.
pages,
There wasn't.
right, of
Nothing glaring.
recommendations.
Nothing
We had
glaring.
2 or 3 pages at times. And we did that from the beginning, knowing that it had been a while since there'd been an audit. We were gonna get them. I said,
Yeah.
that doesn't matter. You're gonna take them and you're gonna resolve them.
Yeah.
And then we go through, and each year it got better and better and better. And now, this is about as clean an audit as you're ever gonna get. There's always a couple things.
So
that-
what was the gap it was from 2011 to,
2000, well, I started in 2019, so I think we did a 19 audit. So there were 7 or 8 years.
and we've been doing them annually.
Since then.
And then we worked with Lois on the financial policy, so it's baked into the policies and procedures as
Right.
well.
And we took it out of being an article. It's now in the accountant's budget. We do this audit every single year. We have to do it anyway. If you're ever going to borrow for building a building, you have to have 3 clean years of audits, and we
Right.
didn't have that. We haven't had that. Now we've got, 5 years, 4 or 5 years of audits, and it looks really good. And then the last thing you got, obviously, are the financial statements themselves with the actual numbers. So, you can obviously look through here. They're good. Obviously, if you read through it, if anyone has any questions, we can certainly ask them. But if you read through, I'm not an accountant, I'm not an auditor, but I know enough to skim it and look for the few areas that, at the end of the current fiscal year, the town is able to report positive balances in all categories of net position for its separate governmental activities, for its business type activities, and for government as a whole.
Yeah.
So you're looking for those big, broad statements where they might raise any concerns.
We're just not seeing them.
Nope.
I'm with Bernie. I tend to look at what, the prior years, and then this year just looks essentially squeaky clean. They have to mention something. That's always the thing, but these are
Yep.
really part and
we're
parcel
very
of
happy.
what they do. Any other questions or comments from
And if
the-
anybody ever wants to know what the auditor does, they go through our books. They actually
Well,
come to me.
he's come in before and done
Yes.
that.
Yeah, and they'll come in and they ask for procurement. They'll pull out things we've bought and say, where's the procurement on this? And we'll pull out our 3-quote tally sheet or our bid, and we'll show them, and they go all over the place and check everything from not just how do the numbers line up, but are we actually following the law in all sorts of money,
Are they looking at the
turnovers,
policies
everything.
and procedures too, to see how people are following them? and-
They have our policies and
Okay.
procedures, so, yeah, so just wanted to give it to you, and it's a good one.
Do we have to vote to accept the audit as is?
No,
It's
no,
just-
no.
No?
Yeah,
Okay.
it's just a document.
Yeah, it's
Yeah.
just, okay.
But again, I know you haven't had it very long, but if you review it and you still have any questions, let me know.
Can we, as a board, pass along our thanks and congratulations to Aaron and Michelle for their hard work in
Yeah.
getting
Oh,
us to this
definitely.
point?
Absolutely.
If that's all we have to do, I think that's lovely.
Keep up the good work.
Yes, please. Okay, moving on. It's time for an update. Federal Energy Regulatory Commission, otherwise known as FERC. So there's going to be a in-person relicensing hearing. So FERC is coming to town, not to Northfield specifically. They're going to Greenfield Community College on July 16th. And there's 2 sessions, in-person sessions, for people to go and comment about the license. We're now really approaching the last year of a multi-year process. So this is a critical hearing. So I want to encourage people, and Joe and I are, Joe Gravelin and I from the Historical Commission, and Joe also represents the Nolambika Project. We're actually going through all the documents, and we're going to be submitting comments.
It's on July 19th?
July
16th.
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 Yep,
19th with all the parties.
Oh, there you
That's
go.
right.
You get party
he's
on
got
your
parties
brain.
on the brain.
Not a bad thing.
We can go to the party after we go to the in-person hearing.
It might
So what I put in the packet was a letter requesting an extension for comments because we're looking at hundreds of pages and we have a relatively short period of time to go through those. So I'm also going to be submitting a letter asking for an extension so that we have plenty of time to go through and reply. But I just wanted to make sure if you need more information, look at the CRC or Connecticut River Conservancy letter, because that has all the details, and they also have an update on their website. And I'm going to craft something for Sandra to put on our website, because I know there's a lot of Northfielders who would be interested in going to the in-person hearing. And just want to say thank you to the delegation, because Senator Markey's staff let me know that they really pushed to get an in-person hearing, to have FERC actually come to the area. So anyway, so I wanted to give you that update, and there'll be more coming. Bless you.
Bless you.
There'll be more coming because there's also has been appeals in the Mass DE, the parallel Mass DE, the state process, the Massachusetts Department of Environmental Protection process as well.
You need a motion to approve the letter or to sign? Or do you just go ahead and?
You guys have already authorized me to
Okay.
submit comments on behalf, so I'm going to do something similar, not as detailed as CRC.
Okay.
Just to get the
Okay, then
extension.
we're good then.
Yeah.
Okay.
So I'm just letting you know where we're at in the process,
Okay.
and we'll see if it's another, we'll be talking about this probably about a year from now, but we're really at a critical point, so I just want to make sure everyone's aware. Okay, we need to declare a Highway Department 2005 International truck as surplus, so
So moved.
Second.
all those in favor?
Aye.
We love surplus.
That's good.
Thank you,
It's
Tom.
already been sold. To the
That's
town
even
of
better.
Warren.
No, that's even better. Before the fact.
Well, I
I
mean,
love
he's
this.
arranged that, well, towns can sell equipment to each other. I mean, you'll know because Tom has bought equipment without going through the bid process. So towns talk to each other all the time about surplus equipment. It's very common.
It's kind of like recycling.
Yes. We've got our new truck from 2024, so this is replacing that truck.
Excellent. Okay, and we dealt with the Millbrook Trail, so I'm going to put follow-up on the next meeting for that. And then Emergency Services Hiring Committee. So
We need a select board member as
Yep.
we go through the hiring process for a new paramedic and EMT as of July 1.
and they're just collecting applications at this point.
Correct, we are collecting, but if they were to move through this to try and hire someone by the 29th, it may not happen, that may be too quick a time frame, but
Right.
it made sense to get that appointment sooner rather than later. We could at least be starting that process, even if we can't appoint by that meeting.
Okay.
So who are they appointing?
Under the plan, the scope, they go to the third paramedic and the third EMT starting
Okay,
July 1.
that's what it's for, okay. So I
Correct.
make sure I was correct.
It would be a paramedic and a
Yeah,
EMT.
okay, yeah.
Yep. Anybody from the, I mean, I'm happy to do it because I can do it in my sleep, but if anybody else wants the experience.
I can do it. I've done it for others. So
Okay.
It's up to you guys. So Dan?
Do you want to
Yep.
do it, Dan? Okay.
I'll do it. Do you need to vote on it? Or just
Okay.
volunteer?
I will keep you informed.
Thank you.
Okay. Just another meeting.
Yeah, so, and we talked with Matt yesterday about his plans, so he's aware of July 29th and the August meeting, so he'll
Figure it out.
figure it out. Okay. Citizens' concerns, none. Topics not reasonably anticipated, none. Oh, committee board appointments. So we're going to have a few of these over the next couple of meetings, just FYI, because people have been sending in.
that time of year.
It's that time of year. Okay, so let's get a motion to appoint Raymond Zukowski to the Flag Committee, term expiring June 30th, 2026.
So moved.
Second.
Second. All those in favor?
Aye.
And a
Annie.
motion to appoint Annie Chappelle to the Open Space, another open spacer, to the Open Space Committee, term expiring June 30th, 2028.
So moved.
Second.
All those in favor?
Aye.
I have a question. How many people are on the flag committee now? How many people have we approved?
At least two. Did I? Last
And plus
time, I'm
Bob.
not sure. Huh?
Plus Bob.
We're up to 3.
Oh, three, Bob. Okay.
So I'm
We
gonna be-
appointed one last time and then tonight.
Yeah, I'm hoping for one more, but I'm going to follow up with them as a group within the next month, so. Just to get them going.
Yeah, and I'm willing to be the select board
Oh.
person on there.
Okay, good. All right, reappointments. Can I get a motion to reappoint Ann Lynch to the Cultural Council, term expiring June 30th, 2028?
So moved.
Second.
All those in favor?
Aye.
Motion to appoint Kristen Norwood to the Agricultural Commission, term expires 6/3/28. 6/30/28.
Motion and
Second.
thank you. All those in favor?
Aye.
Aye. Ooh.
Mike Berry to the
Yay!
Conservation Commission, term expires 6/30/28.
We can get him over the 20-year mark.
Second.
All those in favor for Mike Berry?
Aye.
Aye. Thank you, Mike.
Oh, and Laura does so much. A motion to reappoint Laura Dubin to the Community Preservation Committee, term expires 6/30/26.
Must be 28.
28.
26?
That's-
26?
They must only be. That's
Annual.
annual.
Yep,
Wow.
that's correct. And
Second.
second, all those in favor?
Aye.
Aye.
Great. And motion to approve Dennis Brennan as Veteran Graves Officer, term expiring June 30th, 2026.
So moved.
Second.
Awesome. All those in favor?
Aye.
Aye.
And reappointing Joanne McGee to the Open Space Committee, term expiring June 30th, 2028.
So moved.
Second.
Second.
All those in favor?
Aye.
Aye, great.
Aye.
Thanks for everybody stepping back up. Looks like you got a full group going on in open space. That's good. Okay, announcements. Three-town meeting is this Thursday night. Jane sent out the latest and greatest document. I sent her my comments because I'm not going to be there. I have a FERCog meeting. Is anybody else going to be at this meeting?
I'll be there.
You'll be there? David?
I will not.
Bernie?
I'm gonna try.
Okay. Sarah?
I might.
This is kind of the
Yeah.
pivotal last.
It's also a pivotal time in my thesis writing. Though.
Oh, no! Okay. Oh, okay.
I do know that Finance Committee's members will be there also, because they had already reached out, so.
Okay, good. All right, I just want to, I told Jane I couldn't be there, I felt bad, but I said I read the document, here's the comments, so.
I wanted to add something to a future agenda, please. The electronic voting at town meeting, the little clickers, I'd like to discuss that. And I need to know ahead of time because I can bring some people, like Orange has used them, and so I can bring some people to come talk about it with us.
Can you send an email with the info too, so that we can, is there something we can put in the package? Like a proposal?
No, I just need to know when, and then I can gather. You want, if it can be next week, I can put, not next week, you know what I mean?
July
Next meeting.
29th, the next meeting?
Yeah. It can be after that.
Yeah, possible.
Because of my stuff, maybe after August 15th would be better for me.
Yeah.
Yeah, just make sure you get, if you do a package like that, you
You're
get,
gonna want to
you get
review
details.
something.
Yeah.
Yeah, we don't want to keep stringing it out.
I just need a date because if I'm asking people to come, then I need to give them enough time to do it.
Are you talking electronic
Clicker
voting?
voting.
Check
Yeah.
with Leiden just tried that, so you want
And
to check
Orange
with
tried
them.
it and
So-
loves it.
What we're going to do, we're going to add that to the proposed agenda topics list. And if you could just send an email of when you think, because we've got July 29th might be a possibility, August might be a possibility, but we got a bunch of stuff and some of it might be in July and some of it might be in August, like the EMS stuff, so we can kind of balance if you will?
Yeah,
So
August
if
would be
July's
just,
not gonna work for you.
August
then
would
we
be
can-
better for me anyway,
Okay.
so. I think August 19th or even September 1. I just need to
Okay,
take some
So-
things off my plate.
yeah, I hear you on that one. I can't do anything until I'm done with FERC. We'll put it on there and then confirm as we get
Why
closer.
don't I offer, one of the things is when you're asking people to come, if I could offer them those 2 dates, August 19th or September 1, and ask them which ones they could come on, that would be easiest.
Yeah, let us know, just send an
Okay.
email, so.
Great.
Because I meet with Sandra and Andrea almost every week as it is, so we can just update the list. So the next meeting is July 29th, and we have to sign warrants on the 22nd, so if everyone could make a note in the calendar. And then August 19th, and then September 9th. Sarah, September 9th.
August
if-
19th and September 9th? Hang on, why are we skipping?
That was what we put in the summer schedule.
But September is the fall.
It's right after Labor Day, the 2nd.
The first week was the Labor Day that they were concerned with meeting on the day after Labor Day.
Okay, so we've moved the meeting on the 22nd of July 22nd. That was probably one that we already discussed, I just didn't move.
Yeah, it was on the.
There's a
remember
calendar,
the
she
calendar
said.
that?
Yep, I do.
Okay. All right. Well,
So September 9th is the other date.
yeah, that's, I'm just laying it out there for you to let us know.
That seems like an awful lot of stretches for us.
Well, we already talked about the summer schedule, so
Well, I hear you.
we already talked about it. Motion to adjourn?
We talk
I
about
make a
it.
motion to adjourn.
Okay.
Would you put that on the agenda? I'd like to talk about the schedule.
Second.
On the future agenda.
Yeah, put it on, send it to, just send it in writing, Sarah, and we'll add it to the proposed list.
We didn't vote
All
on
those in
the.
favor?
We need to vote.
Wait
All
a
those in
second.
favor?
Aye.
Wait just
Aye.
a second. Weren't we supposed to do this? Because if there are no amendments, we can just approve it.
I didn't see it in the minutes.
We haven't reviewed it.
Okay.
No, I think they're for review now, then comments go back, and then it goes on
Yeah.
the next one. Got it.
Yep,
What time did we do
almost 7:30.
7:28.
Okay, thank you guys. I think the last one was record. Well, we didn't have as many hearings.